Meanwhile, back in 2002, former President George W. Bush went to the United Nations and got international support to take out Saddam Hussein. Fast forward to 2011, President Obama launched his Libyan operation, bypassing the U.S. Congress. But President Bush was criticized and President Obama has been praised. Hypocrisy? Let's talk to our political panel. What do you say, Jammu?
Look, I mean, I think there are lots of folks on the left who have been criticizing the president, whether it's progressive media
They're
like
furious
The Nation,
he went into Libya in the first place.
Or moderate Democrats like Joe Sestak. But the reality is, if this was an approved war or not, whatever it was successful, period. And it shows
so
that his strategy of unifying, our allies and really building alliances to go into Libya, his strategy was correct. And to do this in 6 months, very impressive. Once again, he has such an incredible record on foreign policy. I'd say kind of laughing in the face of people who called him a gun-shy liberal.
Now, wait a second. When you said incredible foreign policy record, John Bolton burst into laughter.
Look, this policy is internally contradictory. The president said he went into Libya to protect innocent Libyan civilians, and while he wanted Gaddafi overthrown, we were not using military force for that purpose. He did not get a UN resolution approving that. He did not get any approval from the United States Congress, and yet, hypocritically, we did use military force against Gaddafi. We killed one of Gaddafi's sons and 3 of his grandchildren. Now, were those 3 grandchildren committing human rights violations? I don't think so. I don't think it benefits the United States to say one thing and do another. And by the way, it's not so successful. It's not over yet, and we don't know who's going to replace him.
And we don't know where he is. There could be shades of Baghdad.
On the criticism, you've seen a lot of sort of similar to what happened with Afghanistan. You've seen anti-war liberals criticizing Obama and sort of, the middle, that John McCain type and those conservative Democrats praising him. And on Libya, it's a similar sort of odd coalition. You've got liberals and Tea Partiers criticizing him. I mean, when Michelle Bachmann and Dennis Kucinich are on the same page about something, that's a really interesting political dynamic that the president is going to have to contend with.
Also, remember when Colin Powell warned George W. Bush, the Pottery Barn policy, if you break it, you own it? Well, going forward now, as we look to whatever is going to happen next, Ambassador, in Libya, there are people who are talking about, okay, Sharia law is going to be part of the constitution of Libya. And there's some suggestion, perhaps, that the people who are going to be running things are not necessarily our friends. Because democracy, do you think democracy is the next step there?
Not necessarily. I don't agree with the Pottery Barn rule anyway, but I do think the United States has a clear national interest in making sure that Libya does not become a base for international terrorism. And that argues for us being politically very involved to shape the successor regime, which I don't think we've done enough of.
All right.
Well, I think it's a lot easier to criticize than to be correct, like President Obama has been. And at the end of the day, we have more friends in the Middle East because of his policies.
All right.
I would disagree with that very
I bet
strongly.
you would. All right, Jammu and John and Christina, we thank you all for joining us live. All right, straight ahead, let's